Flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
And he got jammed, but this one is a seeing eye single. It's going to get through, and the Astros see Brantley come around to score, and they lead it 1-0 as Kyle Tucker delivers the first run of the game. And he boomstick one into left, and that one is over the head of Kyle Tucker, and it goes over his head, just like Reddick yesterday. Marwin Gonzalez is in. Throw home. Out at home. It did not look like Arise touched home, and he's tagged out for the third out. Correa hits this one far. Kepler looks up, and just as we talked about no power, Alex Correa hits a home run.
All right, welcome into the show. It's Phil Mackey. It's Judd Zulgad. It's a Twins Vent Line special of the Mackey and Judd show here, live on AM 1500, live.scorenorth.com and the Score North app, and also on youtube.com/scorenorthmn. Judd Zulgad, the Minnesota Twins have been eliminated from the 2020 playoffs before October even starts. So that's one thing. But most notably, this is now their 18th consecutive playoff loss, extending their North American sports record that they set last night. We savaged them yesterday. Everything we said yesterday and everything I said yesterday absolutely still applies today, and then some. You're at Target Field right now, Judd Zulgad. Before we get to phone calls, 651-646-8255, and before we talk to some other guests and pop comments on the screen, your quick reaction from just an absolute instant removal from the playoffs by the Minnesota Twins.
Absolutely, positively. It's an UGG. It's terrible. You're playing the Houston Astros, and Phil, you're exactly right. All the stuff that we talked about a day ago applies and holds true today, 100%. And boy, just from the get-go, everything about these two games, from the offense to the decisions with the pitching by Rocco, to a lot of strategic decisions I don't get. Here's what I had hoped, Phil, and I think this is very small, and this would have been true if they did not win a game, which they did not do. But the thing I hope to see was I hope to see growth from both the players and the manager from what we saw last year against the Yankees, okay? Growth as far as decision making goes, growth as far as the priority of where things probably shift to that are different between regular season and playoffs. And here's the scary thing, and I don't know what the answer is because they're not going to make moves as far as firing people, all right? I understand that, and I don't expect them to. But I don't know when that growth comes, because you can replace some of the players, which I'm sure the Twins will do. But ultimately, when you look at the decisions that were made by the manager and this team in these two games, they're troubling too. So I think that if you're a Twins fan and you're concerned, you should be. It's embarrassing. It's inexcusable. You finally escaped the big bad Yankees to play an Astros team that I thought honestly showed up here, if not disinterested, somewhat. Just sort of like, okay, we're not good. We had a losing record. I believe they won 9 of their 30 games on the road this season. And you look terrible. And offensively, you were a joke. And decision-wise, I don't get it. I understand there's a rationale of why Jose Barrios came out of today's game. But with the way he was pitching and who he is supposed to be, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, when he came out after 5, he was at 71 pitches in a playoff game. This is very much what he's supposed to be able to do and be relied upon. And the look on Barrios' face when Rocco told him, and you saw it explicitly on TV, when Rocco told him he was coming out of this game, the look on his face was the look of, really, now in this game? And guess what? On this one, Phil Mackey, I'm Team Barrios. I think he's 1,000% right. How these past 5 playoff games have been handled by a team that I think we both think is very good, very professional, and should be going somewhere. I have one word for you. It's disturbing.
It is disturbing. It's embarrassing. It's a massive stain on the franchise. It's a massive stain on Minnesota sports. I'm not being hyperbolic when I say that this is one of the most incredible futility stretches in sports history. It's not a bad regular season team that's tanking or playing a bunch of rookies like the Orioles in the 70s or whatever. They lost 21 straight games to start the season or something. You probably remember that. It happens. You got bad teams. You lose 103 games when you just don't have good pitching. We're talking about teams, Twins teams, with all-stars, in some cases, Hall of Famers. If you think Joe Mauer's a Hall of Famer, or Jim Thome in 2010, right? We're talking about 90 and 95 and 100 win Twins teams. And in one case, a Twins team that broke the Major League Baseball home run record in 2019. And we're not talking about not being able to win a series, which also would be bad. If you just told me the Twins haven't won a playoff series since 2004, I'd be like, what? That's absurd. A game. They can't win a playoff game in 16 years.
Yep.
Not to mention, and we'll go into the Barrios thing because I agree with you. The move was rooted in analytics. We will talk about it. I disagree with it. But if we're carving up a pie chart of blame here, Judd Zulgad, and we're doing it for 16 years of Twins absolute embarrassment in the playoffs, 100% of the pie goes to the offense. It has been 16 years also since the Twins last scored more than 4 runs in a playoff game. Think about that. 4 runs. Like, think about all the playoff games you watch. Like literally right now, I'm just watching ESPN2, and the Oakland A's have 5 runs in the 5th inning. Just like, all right, cool. Tampa Bay has scored 3 runs, and they're in the 2nd inning right now. Miami is up 5-1 on Chicago. And you can't score 4 runs in a game for 16 damn years? Get out of here.
But can we talk
sorry, one more thing.
Yeah.
I understand why fans become apathetic and why fans decide that they're not going to mentally engage or financially engage with this franchise the longer this happens. Like, if you were a fan and decide, honestly, this is a waste of my time, there's a million other things I could be doing. Like, I'm not going to engage in Twins baseball to the full extent until they win a playoff game. Like, I would not fault you. That is a 16-year embarrassment that they need to end at some point here. And this was a perfect draw for them, Judd, because the Astros are a shell of themselves, and they are going to get their asses kicked by whoever they play next. Whoever they play next that isn't shell-shocked like the Twins apparently are is going to smoke the Astros. Book it.
Yep. And for two games, your young manager, who we both think is pretty bright, right, got outdone bullpen-wise. I'll say the same thing I did yesterday by Dusty Baker. Dusty Baker of the 2003 Cubs meltdown. Dusty Baker, who was known as one of the nicest guys and biggest abusers of pitching arms in baseball. But let me give you this quickly, too, because I think it's important. The 18-game playoff losing streak dating back to 2004 is incredibly embarrassing, and it's a stain on the entire franchise. But that's one track. Let me take you down a second track that concerns me more, because the history stinks, it's embarrassing, and we all sort of laugh at times, and it's not that funny, but we laugh because we don't want to cry. But I want to take you down, to me, the more important track now, and that's 5 games. That's the 5 games under Baldelli in the last 2 years that this team has lost. And look, you could take the other 13 defeats and you can harp on those, or you could tell me to forget those. I don't really care at this point, all right? But Phil, we're talking now 5 games, which in playoffs is a sample size. Like, you can't be like, it's just 5 games. No, that's 2 series. And you were talking about 2 series in which I think this team did everything wrong, everything possibly wrong to sabotage itself from basically going up to the plate with the bats held so tight that they basically could have turned the bats into shredded wood. I mean, they were up there for 2 days like, oh my God. Okay. Pitching decisions that I didn't get, bullpen use that I didn't get. We now have 5 games. So take your previous 13, 2004 to the 1-game playoff, I believe, in 17. Take those and do what you want with those. Yes, they are in the past. But you know what's not? The last 5 games. The last 5 games are hitting us square in the face. And if we have the faith that this franchise is going to get this right, and I don't mean Central Division titles, I mean sustained success that's going to result in a World Series run. So it's not just, oh, the Twins are good and that's fun, but now it's the playoffs and oh, now they're dead. If we are going to have a conversation about can this team win a World Series, do you know how much work has to be done as far as mentality goes and as far as potential roster structure goes, like there's enough now that we can sink our teeth into a real conversation about who can do what, who can't do what, and furthermore, decisions that I think should bother us all if you're a Twins fan.
In fact, you and I are going to spend just a cheap plug here. So if you're new to us, hi, we are Mackey and Judd. We are part of the Score North platform of Minnesota sports shows, and you can find our daily podcast, Mackey and Judd, on Apple, Spotify, and scorenorth.com, where we have been doing deep Twins dives, and I can guarantee you we're probably going to start today, but definitely tomorrow we're going to start taking pen to paper on this roster and deciding who's going to be here next year and who's not. I'll tell you what, Alex Kirilloff, based on the way he put swings on the ball today, made that diving catch, he's penciled in for next year. So either Eddie Rosario can take a hike or Miguel Sano can take a hike, and we'll do that whole exercise. We also have a 7-day-a-week Vikings podcast called Purple Daily, Apple, Spotify, and scorenorth.com, and youtube.com/Purple Daily Podcast. But it's good to be back on the AM 1500 airwaves here live as well this afternoon, even though the circumstances are just absolutely absurd with the Twins losing their 18th straight postseason game. 651-646-8255 if you want to join the show on any of these platforms. We're going to hear from Patrick Royce a little bit later on, but let's go to Alec. You're on Twins Vent Line with Mackey and Judd. Please keep it clean and don't get us fired.
I can do. Okay. Well, normally when I call in here, I try to give a healthy dose of optimism and the negative. I try to give a little bit of both. But this is the first time in any sort of Vikings vent line, Twins vent line. This is an all-time low right here. This is no positivity. There's no good way you can spin it because, last year you could have spun it positively by saying, hey, we just don't have pitching. Yeah, you just didn't have the pitching to go up against the Yanks. We'll be back, we'll get some pitching. Well, you had an ace this year. You had Kenta Maeda, he did his job, and Jose Barrios pitched pretty much like an ace today as well.
Yep.
And, you do that. You have that kind of performance, and I think Judd hit it right on the head. It's very mental, obviously, because we've seen what this team can do. But they go up there, and the Astros at times begged you to beat them. Begged. There were many pitches throughout this game and yesterday's game that were so hittable, that were so juicy, and the Twins just screwed it up. I have to say this is lower than any Vikings moment because at least in the NFL playoffs, it's one game. It's really hard. But to do it in a series, in a 3-game or best of 3, best of 5, whatever, you get more than one game to turn it around. And the Twins haven't been able to do that. It's a different team, same result. And I guess I'll say this as I part. Maybe this is my one sort of outreach of positivity. No matter what you got going on in your life right now, even if you're knocking at death's door, everyone you loved has left you. At least you can face the great beyond, knowing you'll never have to see another performance like this again. That's what I got.
Oh man, Alec, great stuff leading off Twins vent line there. By the way, you're listening to AM 1500 KSTP, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Score North, Minnesota sports, anytime, anywhere. And we are your Twins therapists right now. Judd Zulgad is at Target Field. He's in the Legends Club atrium, it looks like. Yes. Is there any alcohol behind there?
Yeah, you got any booze there for us?
Did they leave any bottles of
way down? But yes, I could get a few beers at the. I think that the mixed drinks are all stored away, Phil. But I could definitely get a few beers and possibly a few Corona hard seltzers if you'd like.
Yeah, I think that would probably be pretty good.
8.
I don't think Target Field is a Corona hard seltzer establishment. Maybe we can make that connection for them.
Why don't you make that happen? Declan can make it happen.
Yeah. Bring them all to me. Thank you.
All right, let's go to Jeff. Jeff, you're next on Twins Vent Line here with Mackey and Judd.
Okay, so keep it clean, right?
Please.
Oof. No, I'm good. I guess the first quick point I'd like to make is, so I'm 30. I just turned 30, and in my lifetime, so I don't remember the 87 or 91 at all, obviously. I wasn't around for one, and I was just one when the other happened. In my lifetime, just me personally, the Twins have been more frustrating in the postseason than the Vikings, and that is hard to do. That is a hard bar to jump over, but they have done it in my lifetime. The only other thing I just want to, so many bad decisions. The only two players who I think should be spared from any sort of ripping are Jose Barrios and Kenta Maeda. My hat's off to both of them. They pitched their hearts out, even with a manager who seems just so intent on saving them for some series that now we're not even going to have. Look, I'm a diehard Twins fan. I'm a season ticket holder, and I know I'm feeling down right now. I know I'll be back. That being said, it is hard to cough up the money. It would be hard for me to cough up the money to be a season ticket holder again if they keep Rocco Baldelli. He is just, I have never seen a guy who's so good in the regular season, and it's probably not since Denny Green has any coach in this town been so bad in the postseason. That's all I've got.
Jeff, it's a great phone call. I think you probably reflect the feelings of most Twins fans, man. So hang in there, and I don't know, maybe find another team or another sport or something. I honestly don't know what to tell people. Like,
hang in there and bail.
This is where I feel like a fraud, because I think I'm probably regarded as like on the optimism, negative, pessimistic to optimism scale of Twins talking heads in this town. I'm definitely like near the top of the optimistic scale. Derek Wetmore was always optimism reigns guy too. And it's just like, I can sit here and tell you logically and analytically, this is statistically impossible. They are going to win a playoff game, and they are going to win a playoff series. And if you continue to play out playoff stretches like this team is good enough to win a World Series. And then they get on the field and they do that every single time. So what are we supposed to even say anymore?
So let me give you eye test wise what should have bugged you and everybody else about these two games. Because I think that if you go through the strategies, some of the decisions that people like me don't like do make sense. Here's what bothered me about the past approximately 18 innings of baseball. Everybody in the home dugout played or managed scared. That's what I don't like. I understand the common sense of Barrios third time through the stats, which both of you guys sent me, makes perfect sense in my mind. But you know what that was? When Rocco looked at him and patted him, like again, it was July 15th. Oh, buddy boy, you were good, but now you're coming out. Barrios's look, which I actually loved, was, whoa, hold on a second. You realize this is an elimination game, right? And Rocco still had, and it's everybody to me in the last 2 days, aside from, as the caller said, and he's probably right, Barrios and Maeda did their job with their hands around their throat. And you can't work like that in life. Yeah. Not in baseball, not in football, and not in the job that you do at your office. You cannot work with by gagging yourself essentially or choking yourself around the throat. And that goes back to the famous line about when the Twins melted down in the 80s in Cleveland, and Gaetti said it's hard to play baseball with both hands around your throat. That's how it felt the past 2 days were played and managed by the Minnesota Twins.
Judd, I agree with you. And let's go into this Barrios decision here for a second, because I actually think the Jose Barrios decision was a microcosm of Rocco Baldelli's style of managing and some of the problems that have plagued the Twins in these postseason series. And if you look at it from an analytics perspective, Jose Barrios is allowing a 905 OPS the third time through the order this season. So basically, when he turns the page the second time through the order into the third time through the order, it's blast off. And the Twins said, listen, I'd love to know what the actual conversation was, because was Rocco being honest with him in that moment? Like, is Rocco putting his hand on Jose Barrios' shoulder and saying, hey, I got to be honest with you. You've been great. You've been lights out for 5 innings. You've been exactly what we wanted you to be for 6 years, for 5 innings today. You have finally arrived as the guy that can shut down a lineup in the postseason, back-to-back great starts, but you're allowing a 905 OPS the third time through the order, and so we're pretty sure you're going to get blasted here in either the 6th or the 7th inning, and before that happens, we're going to pull you from the game. Whether he said it directly or whether he couched it, that's what they did today. 75 pitches. He still had 25 or 30 or maybe even more pitches left in the tank from just a stamina perspective. And the Twins went with the same type of decision making that they've gone with throughout the course of the regular season, letting analytics drive the thinking. And I am as much of an analytics guy in this town as anybody. Fangraphs and Baseball Reference are like my home pages. But think about this, Judd. Think about the mental gymnastics you have to do to pull Jose Barrios from the best start of his life. Like in terms of like the moment and the knockout game and just how lights out he was in those 5 innings and how much he was mostly coasting through that Astros lineup, save for a couple bleeding seeing eye singles, right? The mental gymnastics you have to do to pull blue chip thoroughbred Jose Barrios from that game and put a 13th round draft pick who's barely pitched in any games like this before, Cody Stashak, for 2 innings. For 2 innings.
Which put him in the butt.
A 13th round draft pick that you dusted off and you turned him into a gem, like your 6th or 7th best reliever, gem, quote unquote.
Yep.
And you decided the mental gymnastics that you have to do to put that guy in the game for 2 innings and expect him to coast through. Like, I'm an analytics guy and I'm a stats guy through and through, but my God, like some common sense and some human element and some feel have to be in play with that decision, Judd.
Well, and how can you ask what Baldelli, Falvey, Levine, Zolgad, Mackey, Goff have asked of Barrios for a long time now, which is prove something to us. Show us that you can do what you did today. And then he does. And the vote of confidence is Stashak's coming in. Think about, I mean, forget the one game. Think about the message it sends to him. Think about the message when he delivers on what we have longed for. Like we have literally begged him, be that guy, do this. Jose Barrios, do this. And he's like, you know what? Today, elimination game. I'm going to do it. And I texted you. You texted me. Through 3 innings of that game, he was unbelievable. Ran into some problems, but you know what? Got out of it. The run that he got up was a result of the shift, not a result of some hard hit ball that Barrios put a cookie up there for the Astros hitter. Now, he does all of that. Think about the long-term effect, potentially, of going to him and saying, you did it. Congratulations. And again, we're going to treat you like this is a June start. So you are now going to exit an elimination game in which we have begged you to do this. You did it. And your reward is you're going to be treated like any other game. It lacks. Look, I get going by the book. I get having your principles and your values about how you do things. But sports, and this is not all the time, sports has to have an element of gut feel. It has to. It's why we love sports. It's sports. So if you are really going to look at Barrios and say that, if I'm Barrios, I'm saying to myself, do I want to be here? Like, is this where I want to be long-term? Because I just gave you what you have begged me for, and you basically said, good enough job. Now we're bringing in Cody Stashak. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, it is like just the fact that you had absolute lights-out gems from Kenta Maeda and Jose Barrios. Like after all these years, all we've been waiting for is starting pitchers at the front of these series that can go out and just go punch for punch and give you a chance. And the offense turtles. You know, it's like you plug one hole in the boat and the other one starts leaking. 651-646-8255 if you want to join us here. Mackey and Judd, Twins vent line after just a lightning fast exit from the 2020 postseason. 18 consecutive playoff losses, and we're taking your reactions. We are your therapist, but we're also the therapists who are going to bitch about our own problems here too, because we're just as annoyed by this as all the fans are out there. Kyle, what's going on, man? You're on vent line.
Hey, boys, how you guys doing?
We're all right. We're pretty mad.
So I'm here at work, and I wasn't able to watch the game, but when I saw them take out Jose Barrios, just like they did with Kenta Maeda yesterday, I'm like, what are you doing? You are throwing the game away. And it's the same thing that happened last year when the Twins were playing against the Yankees. Your starting pitching does pretty good. They give up like 2 runs. Jake Odorizzi gave like 2 runs up. Then you take them out. It's like, great, here's our bullpen. We're going to blow it. Then this is what happens this year. Is our bullpen goes in and they blow it. And granted, they did fairly well. You know, they gave up like 1 or 2 runs, you know, against an Astros team, but my goodness, you lost to a subpar 500 Astros team in the 6th seed, and you won the division. And when Rocco said, "Oh, we're going to enjoy this divisional win for a day," I'm like, "Oh, great. So now they ain't going to be ready for this series." And you can tell they were not ready. But Barrios and Kent Maeda, they were ready to play. And they take them out after stymieing the Astros lineup. And these are veteran players that won the World Series last year. So it's so frustrating. It's just every year, you know, being a Twins fan and a Vikings fan, and it's like, boy, do I even bother watching these guys anymore? They make the millions, you know, they can go golfing, but, you know, if they have like a dinged up knee or something, they can take a break, but I have to go to work and work my tail end off. It's so frustrating, guys, and, you know, I'll probably be cheering both teams on next year anyways, but Rocco, he needs to go. Sano, he needs to go. Rosario needs to go.
Kyle, thanks for your passion, man. We appreciate it. Miguel Sano, record, he had a hit yesterday, but 0 for 3 strikeout. He did walk, but hey, it's kind of funny though. Yeah. Where are all those people that, you know, when Sano was hot for like a week?
Oh, weird.
He was hot for like a week, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's harming Killebrew. Look at his harming Killebrew like power numbers." It's like, no, he strikes out in half of his plate appearances, and he's the most slump-prone hitter in all of baseball, and he disappears when you need him down the stretch. Where are all the people that called me and us idiots when we criticized Miguel Sano for not being anything other than just a once-in-a-while power hitter that shows up?
I believe I saw a graphic on the telecast yesterday that Yuli Gurriel of the Astros, I believe, had the lowest batting average of any MLB player in September, and the second lowest, Sano, who was MIA, nowhere to be found. He was absolutely, like, we can talk about if he is streaky and hits home runs, but in this series, in the last month of the season, he was nowhere to be found. He had become a liability. There were managers who would have looked to sit him. And by this point with Donaldson out, you probably didn't have a choice but to play him at first base. But, I mean, this guy spent the last month as a liability to his team. His greatest attribute from September 1 on was his defense, which wasn't great, but at least it was not an embarrassment. I think, to your point off the top of the show, Phil, I think that I'll only say it for sure, but there are going to be changes made, and I think there need to be. And I do think this, from Rocco's standpoint, just a starting point here, in the clubhouse, I think we do need to see more accountability for people starting next year. You know, Rosario got tossed today, and I get that was a bad strike 2 call. He actually swung and struck out swinging and then said something to the plate umpire to get tossed. But that's not an isolated thing. Rosario has been doing basically what he wants for how long now? And I just don't think that is a really positive thing when you look at how disciplined teams need to be and how smart, probably being the key word here, more than disciplined, in the playoffs. I think that there really does need to be a look at the accountability. And I'm not saying go crazy and throw things and bench guys constantly, but I think it needs to be ratcheted up a notch that it definitely has not been in Baldelli's first 2 years. And there are times that, in my belief, it comes back to bite him, that he gives guys the freedom that he does to just be themselves, because that's not always to the benefit of the team.
Let's do the Rosario thing here real quick. I think so. You and I and Declan, we reviewed, as part of Action Movie Rewind Friday on the Mackey and Judd show, we reviewed Top Gun a couple weeks ago, or last week, I think it was. And I think if Iceman were standing in front of Eddie Rosario, he would say, "You're dangerous and you're foolish, and that's the worst combination." Sometimes the danger is great. Like, he's dangerous. He might be able to take a pitch by his eyebrows and hit it out of the ballpark. So here's my interpretation of it. Let's unpack the Rosario ejection for a second. For one, Manny Gonzalez is the home plate umpire. He was a disaster. He was terrible. And that strike call on Rosario, which should have been a walk, it was out of the zone. Eddie Perez and the commentators on ESPN TV were ripping Manny Gonzalez for it. So it was definitely a bad call. I'm okay with Rosario chirping about it to the extent that he did it first. Okay. Then when he strikes out swinging, Rosario in that spot has to know that we've got egotistical umpire guy behind the plate. If you chirp here again, you're probably going to get tossed in an elimination game. So just be smarter. Emotional intelligence needs to be on display in that spot, and Eddie Rosario showed very little of it. So I will rip Rosario for that. But for God's sakes, in an elimination game, if you're an umpire, you got to have thicker skin in that spot. You got to be better at your job for one, but you have to have thicker skin in that spot. George Springer early on absolutely chirped and clapped at the same umpire, and he didn't throw him out of the game. And the other thing I can't stop thinking about, Judd, when it comes to Major League Baseball umpires, NFL referees get cussed out multiple times every single game by coaches and players. Like if you watch a sideline of an NFL game, you'll see like Sean Payton just 4 inches from the cheek of a lines judge just screaming into his ear, right? Mike Zimmer just dressing down officials on the sidelines every single week. How many times do you see NFL coaches and players get ejected for that? Never. It literally never happens because NFL referees understand that emotions run high. It's their job to, and you know what? They're going to make mistakes and they're going to have to just sort of take the frustration from these players and coaches and just have it go in one ear and out the other. Major League Baseball umpires are so insecure and egomaniacal, and they got these rabbit ears. Everything they hear from the dugout, they got to turn over and point a finger. Just like Manny Gonzalez, do a better job for one, and don't eject players unless they like run at you with a bat. If they run at you with a bat, you can eject them. That's my rule. If they're just saying words to you, let them be frustrated and move on to the next play, for God's sakes. It's an elimination game. So yes, Rosario deserves some criticism, Judd. Manny Gonzalez was just a complete train wreck behind the plate. Neither of those things is why the Twins lost today, other than Rosario not being able to get a hit in a big spot. But it was a frustrating sequence for sure.
Gonzalez was terrible, and he was the definition of why, if I was a plate umpire, I would tell a catcher, you move your glove after catching a pitch, it's a ball. I'm never calling it a strike. The two catchers, Jeffers for the Twins, and I believe it was Martin Maldonado for the Astros, did nothing but pitch frame beautifully, and he bit on every bleeping one. But I think the bigger discussion about the Rosario ejection, though, is this. It's a bigger picture discussion to me about his actions throughout the course of a season. So if this was like the first time and he melted down, okay, that's not great, but I get that, right? But we now have a resume, like we have a folder full of Rosario miscalculations and dumb things and reactions and or not knowing rules that absolutely drive you crazy. And I'm not saying every one of them, Phil, has to be punished by Rocco, but it feels like none of them are. And I don't think that sends a good message to the rest of the team that, you know what? Rosario, he can get away with whatever he wants. And I also don't think it's fair to look at Donaldson or Cruz and say they'll handle it every time. At some point in time, if you're in Baldelli's shoes, I think that it becomes imperative that you pick and choose, of course, but you pick and choose times to make examples, right? I mean, go back to the play that we talked about a couple weeks back in Chicago when David Ross, who played with Kyle Schwarber, took Kyle Schwarber out of a game for basically not hustling. Like, to me, that's like a whoa. If he'll do that to a former teammate and a guy who I think in Schwarber works fairly hard, he'll do that to me too. So it's not that Rosario just got kicked out of today's game. It's the continual thing that Rocco allows guys to do what guys do without them ever saying, this might not be smart this time because there's going to be ramifications, which it doesn't feel like there ever are.
Spoiler alert, he's not on the team next year. There's no way he's on the team next year, especially with the way Alex Kirilloff came in today and just looked like that guy's poise and approach at the plate, his swing. He looked like he'd been in the big leagues for 10 years today, even though he's like 23 years old. 651-646-8255 Twins vent line here. Let's go to W on line 2. You're on Mackey and Judd vent line here.
Hey, Judd, Mackey. Love you both. I'm probably a Vikings fan 1, Timberwolves fan 2, and a Twins fan 3. I'd just like to say this isn't just, something that's just statistically insignificant. 18 straight playoff losses for the Twins. The Vikings have the most playoff wins without a Super Bowl championship, and the Timberwolves had a playoff drought that spanned 14 years. And who knows if they're going to make the playoffs again with the retooled and stacked, Western Conference. So we're all masochists here. We all need each other as therapists. We all thrive and love the pain. I mean, these were both two very winnable games. And just how it transpired, how terrible and just collectively chunderous it was, it's just baffling. We see the beauty in the pain. It's inexplainable. And I think Judd made a fantastic point. That's now 5 losses for Baldelli at this point. So, I mean, if you really look at the team with a steady eye and look at how he managed the past 2 games, the bats were on fire in the regular season. They went cold. The players looked aimless and confused. I don't know what needs to be changed, but, I mean, Phil also made a good point a few days ago. What about with Buxton and Donaldson? It's always a what if, a counterfactual with the Twins, the Vikings, and the Timberwolves. Teddy went down 2016. Who knows what this team would look like, the Vikings, with Teddy on the contract, on that rookie contract, and we could have signed Khalil Mack. We don't even need Kurt's cousins. And by the way, his name is Kurt, not Kirk. He doesn't deserve his own first name for how he plays on this massive contract. So I just don't understand what we can expect with this team and any of our teams. I mean, were all these stadiums built on Native American burial grounds? I just don't
gets the poltergeist, dude. It's all just going to fold into one, black hole.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I just love you both. Continue the vent line, but it's terrible. Thank you.
Dude, thank you.
Thank
That's
you.
Appreciate
W
that.
chiming in. And another cheap plug, if you're interested in more Mackey and Judd show action, we have a daily podcast. You can also find a condensed version of it from 5 to 6 o'clock on AM 1500 in the Twin Cities and on the Score North app on the live feed. But you can find Mackey and Judd, the podcast, on the Score North app, on Apple and Spotify. And you can find Purple Daily as well, Daily Vikings Conversations on those same platforms. Let's keep rolling here. A bunch of people have been on hold for a while. Let's go to Travis. Travis, you're on Twins Vent Line with Mackey and Judd.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. The word, I know you guys said embarrassing, but pathetic. Pathetic is the word. Pathetic is the word for not just these 2 games, but the 3 games last year against the Yankees. I don't even know how many runs total, from last year to this year they scored. It's just, how did they forget the hit? And I'm watching the Cardinals and the Padres, and I'm just watching the Cardinals get hit after hit after hit after hit after hit, and I'm like, it really? How do people like Sano? I know Rosario got tossed out, but Rosario, people like that, Polanco, just swing and miss or just hit pop up after pop up after pop up after pop up. I mean, are you kidding me? I cannot fathom how all of a sudden they hit 90 home runs in 60 games.
Travis,
90 home runs.
Go ahead.
90 home runs in 60 games. And they get 2 runs overall combined. I don't understand. I mean, I didn't watch the game on TV until I got home into the 7th inning, but I was listening in the car, and of course they had bases loaded, and shockingly enough, no runs.
Travis, the Marlins are playing right now. They have 5 runs in the first 6 innings. The Marlins!
All right. Also, the Rays just hit a grand slam. They now have 7 runs. They have 7 runs.
What did we do to deserve this? What on earth? What did we do to deserve this?
Hey, Travis.
Literally,
Travis. I just crunched it with Rocco Baldelli in 5 playoff games, managing the Twins. They have now played 5 games. They have scored 9 runs, 1.8. 9 runs. 9 runs. 9 runs in 3 games last year. 2 in 2 games this year.
In fact, I got a couple more facts here since Travis is here joining the party. This was the Twins lineup the last time they scored more than 4 runs in a playoff game. This was their lineup.
Oh God.
Shannon Stewart.
Yeah, I was gonna say Shannon Stewart had to be a part of it.
Shannon Stewart, the catalyst. Yep. Jack Jones, Torrey Hunter, Justin Morneau, Corey Koski, Lou Ford, Christian Guzman, Michael Kadire, and Henry Blanco. And I will say, as Carl Ravitch pointed out on the broadcast, The last time the Twins won a playoff game, Julio Franco was an active player in the league. He is now 62 years old.
My goodness. Wow.
Amazing. Well, Travis, we appreciate you coming on, man, and raising your voice a few octaves again for us. And
yeah, I mean, like, I just got like so many questions. Why, I know Jake Cave reminds me of Nick Punto.
Oh, that's a great compare. He's outfield. He is outfield Nick Punto. Yes.
I never liked Jake Cave at all, and obviously when Rosario got tossed out and Jake Cave coming in, and then seeing Jake Cave swing at ball four, just like that, just reminds me of Nick Punto right off the bat. Why Taylor Rogers came in the ninth when Duffy should have probably been in right then and there rather than Rogers. I mean, I like Rogers, but he's not a top closer in the major league. He's not. I don't think he is. Rosario, if he's gone next year, I'm fine with it. I don't get the decisions. I don't get anything. Like, how do you, like, last year you go from 307 home runs to however many runs combined total last year in the playoffs against the Yankees to just 2 runs combined with 90 home. I don't get it. Like, how does this team just forget to hit? I just like, my blood is boiling, and I'm just so. And not to mention Polanco just looking at strike 3. Like, I thought that if it was close, they always tell you if it's close, swing at it. And he looked right down the middle. I know it's easy for me to say as a fan, but you get paid that much money to watch a ball go down the middle and knowing that the season's on the line.
And I'll tell you what, the most offensive thing that happened in this series, and maybe the most offensive thing that's happened throughout the entire streak, Jorge Polanco botching that play at shortstop yesterday. Like, I'm sorry, dude, I'm done. Like, I can't. Like, you can't. If you just, like, if you strike out, all right, whatever. Like, you're trying.
I don't even why they keep giving him a chance. I mean, Polanco had a terrible year this year, honestly. I don't even know what his average was, but it wasn't what it was last year, and Polanco just was terrible. I don't even understand why, like, they haven't called up Nick Gordon. Nick Gordon's been in the league for how long? Isn't he supposed to be the next shortstop for the Twins or something? I don't know. It's hard for me to pay attention to the minors with how many games and different, from single A, triple A, double A, whatever, but I don't I don't know what we did to deserve this. As a Vikings fan, a Twins fan, it's wild.
It's a curse, man.
It's purgatory. It's purgatory.
Travis, we gotta move to other callers, but thank you for coming on, dude. It's always fun when Travis calls.
Can I present you guys with a very, very scary, very, very frightening thought? And I'd like to ask you guys a question here.
By the way, for the viewers, Jake DePew, one of our Score North Twin Show contributors, is
I feel you, Jake,
crying into his hands. But Judd, continue your point.
Okay, so here's my question, and this is the state of Minnesota professional sports when it comes to the Vikings and Twins right now, and it's pathetic. In the past 4 days, did you feel worse about the Vikings with the ball at their own 40 with a minute and I think approximately 33 left against the Titans and Kirk Cousins having the ball on Sunday, or the 9th inning today? Because I will tell you this, both games were not out of reach. They felt that way to me, but they weren't out of reach. Realistically, you could have come back. The Vikings or the Twins or both could have come back. There's no rule. It's not like they were down by 10 and the Vikings were down by 1 point, okay? What made you feel more hopeless? Because I am torn right now between if I felt more hopeless with Cousins with the ball at his 40 near midfield, or the Twins coming up in the 9th today when I felt it was a foregone conclusion that this game was going to end.
I got to be honest, and I'll let Jake answer too here, but it's not close for me. These Twins games, 16 years of the same game being played over and over and over for the most part. Now, I think the different twist the last couple games is you actually had some stud starting pitching performances that you've been longing for a long time in these Yankee series, right? But I don't remember what it feels like to feel really comfortable about the Twins offense in the postseason. They don't score runs. They don't, like, you can have Jim Thome, you can have Nelson Cruz, you can have Joe Mauer and Justin Morneau in their primes. Like, these dudes do not score runs in the postseason. You know what, Jake? Let your kid vent too.
Yeah, because I feel exactly what's happening.
Jake's venting. She's venting. She sat here and watched these 2 games with me. She's frustrated. I don't blame her. I'm gonna come back. I'm coming back.
You got it.
Tell her to keep it clean.
Yeah, because I'm doing the same thing. I'm crying too. I
thought it
feel
was
that.
Depew.
I feel her too, man. I want to cry.
I thought it was
For
Jake.
God's sakes, though.
I don't blame him.
Hold on, Declan. You've been answering phone calls here. Before you get back into the grind here, go ahead. Say what you need to say.
How is it that for 17 years, like I was 11 years old so like I wasn't in middle school. Okay, I couldn't drive a car. I could barely wipe my own behind. I was a very slow learner. I had people in my life that were still around. Like, I don't understand how we can go this long without a playoff win. And I love the Wild. Judd and I know how big of a hockey guys we are. We love the Wild. The Wild have been bounced in the playoff numerous times. Guess what? The Wild still figure out a way to win a playoff game here and there. And when they get bounced outside of the Jake Allen series, I've never really felt that crushed. I've never really felt like, man, that was our window. That was it. And I'm going to be in this purgatory of sadness for an indefinite future. With the Twins, like yesterday, I got home and I was legitimately not just sports depressed, in life depressed for the first time in a very, very long time. And I'm a pretty optimistic dude. I don't get down on myself. And it was seriously seltzers and tears for the most of the evening by myself, trying to figure out why can't this happen? Why? Just once. Just win a game. You can't even win a game.
Dude, it is crazy. Like, it is crazy. And I don't think enough is being made about the streak. 18 consecutive postseason losses, a North American sports record. And it's like just in the last 48 hours, like ESPN and SportsCenter have just like figured this out. Like, what? Are you serious? They haven't won a game since 2004. What is wrong with these people?
It's now by 2. They now hold the record. This record might never be broken, too. This might never be broken. When you consider the parity that we now have in pro sports, it might be damn hard in any of the sports that we're talking about for this record to be broken ever. And Jake Depew, it is I told Phil this too, Jake. It's 2 tracks to me. One is the 18 games, which is an embarrassment and it's terrible. But the other is the 5 with Rocco. My God, Depew and I talked on podcasts for the last 2 months, right? What did Rocco learn from the Yankee series? What's going to be different? And Jake, I swear to you, nothing in the 2 games here were different than last year against the Yankees. Nothing.
Yeah, my entrance to this podcast went about as well as the Twins have played over the last 2 years. Rocco. But like, seriously, I mean, we talked about Cody Stashak all year, Judd, how Cody Stashak pitched in a tie game at Yankee Stadium, and it just made no sense. And it was like, we both kind of thought, Rocco's going to learn from this. He's going to be more aggressive. He's going to bring in his high leverage relievers in these games. And it's like, what did we see? Cody Stashak pitched more than I think any other reliever in the bullpen. Clippard didn't even pitch. Like, where was Tyler Clippard? He never pitched. He never appeared in a game. He's arguably their second or third best reliever. It was mind-boggling, man. I'm sure you guys have already talked about this. I wasn't listening at the beginning, but pulling Barrios after 5 innings when he looked that good and he was fired up coming out off the mound, like getting his guys fired up. I mean, Judd, you couldn't see this from the press box, but his reaction in the dugout was like, to Rocco was like, are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. Like, I get third time through the order, he's not good, but like, come on, man. I mean, you can't just stick to the book all the time. Like, he's pitching great. You have to keep him in there for the 6th, especially with your bullpen tax because you used everybody yesterday. Like, yeah,
and like the thing is, this is what I said to Judd, Jake, is I get the 900 OPS third time through the order. Like, that's a real thing that like you should definitely be mindful of that as you manage a baseball team and not hang guys out to dry. At the same time, he was filthy and lights out and dominating, and the mental gymnastics you have to do to pull him out of the game for 2 innings of Cody Stashak and not expect something bad to happen. And all of that can be parsed apart. It doesn't matter because they can't score runs. They don't score runs in any of these games, and they haven't for 16 years. And it's infuriating to watch.
It's honestly, it's hard for me to wrap my head around this because the improbability of losing 18 consecutive baseball games. I mean, there's so much variance and so much luck in baseball to lose 18 straight when you're trying to win. Like, every one of these games, it's a playoff game. They're all basically must win. You're playing all your best players, presumably, to lose every single one and really be non-competitive in most of these games. Like Phil was just saying, the offense has been non-existent. Like, when was the last time they even played a 1-run game? Not 2019, not 2017, not this year. Like, you'd have to go back to, 2009, I believe, was the last. I don't think that 2010 series even had a 1-run game. It's like, this is insane. It's like it's the equivalent of do you guys remember when Leicester City won the EPL a couple of years ago and everybody was like, this is the most amazing thing that's ever happened in sports, the most improbable thing? It's like the opposite of that. You know?
In fact, hold on. Let's get Royce on. We have Royce on the phone here, so let's have Royce join the party with us here from Target Field. Pat, I keep saying it out loud, and it just doesn't compute. And I know that Twins fan, you're like, what do you mean it doesn't compute? They don't hit 18 straight playoff losses is impossible. Like,
it is.
It's impossible.
It's mathematically difficult. I got the stats for you right now. I tweeted it out. You responded to it, but it's even better. So on October 5th, 2004, the Twins opened the series in New York Yankee Stadium by beating the Yankees 2-0. And the next day, Houston opens a series in the National League Division Series. They beat the Atlanta Braves 9-3. Not counting 2004, the Twins have been in the postseason in some form, including as a wild card, 8 times. And the Astros have been there 7 times, including one wild card year when they then advanced through the wild card. They have 43 wins. Twins have 0.
How is that? Sounds like you're making it up.
I know.
It sounds like something you would make up. It's like something from The Onion.
Somebody sent me an email saying, why is anyone surprised? Houston has won 40 games since the 40 playoff games since the Twins last one. I said, well, this guy's drinking or taking drugs or something, but I went and checked. They got 1 year with 10 and they got another year with 11, when they won. Now, let's face it, they've got many more losses than the Twins too, because they advanced past the first round. That was, 43-0 on that stat. I sent that one out and got quite a Twitter response. People thinking I was drinking or something, but since the morning of October 6th, it's 43-0.
God.
October 6th, 2004. I don't know. I heard some guys down there arguing about the worst moments in this whole thing. I mean, certainly this is as bad as you could play, but I got Ramwani Rincon's home run. He served up to Ruben Sierra when they're ahead 5-2 in Game 4 in 04, right?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, I remember.
And Wani Rincon was unhittable that year. In fact, we found out he was taking some extra vitamins, but that was okay. But I also have Zito beating them in Game 1 in 06 when you got Johan pitching, and you got it. You're great at home. You've been on a great run, and then they let Zito, who was not Zito then. I mean, he was not at his very best. And he comes in and slops it up, and that's when they decided to never hit again in the postseason. It's incredible. They won't hit. They're just brutal. But boys, they're going to have to change this thing up a lot. The Bamba approach does not work in the offseason. In the postseason, does not work in the postseason.
Yeah, they are in terms of just like feast and famine. They were 6th in home runs this season as an offense, even though they were down in home runs, and they were 20th in on-base percentage. And so they don't have anyone on base. They don't have anyone hitting for average, which doesn't matter as much now. But when there's guys on base, you need to hit for average to drive them in. And they don't do that.
No, and they're just not. It's just not. I mean, it's fun, and God, they hit 307, but the pitching. I mean, this wasn't great pitching, but it was. But the pitching isn't lousy enough to hit 3 or 4 home runs a game in the postseason, unless you get into the back end of a bullpen, and that's not going to happen in a best-of-3 series. So, it doesn't work. You got to become more. This is not an athletic team. Everybody's mad at Tony Diaz for sending the Rise, and I'm sure it was an act of desperation. And Louis Arise is a guy they need because he'll get on base and do stuff, but he's not an athlete. They got one athlete, really. Buxton, well, Rosario's an athlete too, but we found out again today what a knucklehead he is. But they just don't have athletes. They're not an athletic team. They're just we can play this. We can just overpower you, and we can have a fielder stand here and an infielder stand there, and we don't care if they have any range or not. And I don't think it works at this time of year.
Pat, is this the end of Rosario with the Twins? You think this is it for him?
Yeah, I think so. But I would, really, is that the way you want to? You know who I'd trade? Kepler. I'd get rid of Kepler.
You get more for him.
I'd get something for him. That's the reason. I don't want to just give Eddie away. They might not tender him, which I mean, Eddie drives you nuts. But when Eddie comes up to the plate, left-handed or right-handed, you think there's a possibility of getting a hit, don't you? There's a possibility he's going to do something. If Kepler comes up against a lefty, you might as well, if you keep him, you got a platoon. It's that bad now. It's just pathetic. So, and you got Larnach, you got Kirilloff. I think there's a lot of changes on the offing. They would have had a $140 million payroll this year. You come back from a pandemic, it won't be $100 million. There's going to be a lot of changes around here. I don't even know about Nelson. I don't know if I bring him back or not. I mean, I love him, but yeah, I don't know if I bring him back. If you're not going to play Bomba ball, if you're going to play a little different kind of ball, then you don't bring him back.
Why hook Barrios, Pat? To me, he was pitching great, and I get it. It was going to be the third time through, but all that being said, he was giving you exactly what we begged for years from him, and Rocco hooked him like it was July the 3rd.
Yeah, well, it was obviously they won't admit it, but they look at their numbers and see he's not as good the third time through, and Cody Stashak, gotta love him. He's pretty good, but he gets 5 straight outs, looks good, and then Correa hits one where people don't hit him, right-handed hitters, and that's it. But I don't know. This whole philosophy of the way we use pitchers now does not work for guys from my generation. I wrote all about that today. I mean, Trevor May blows him away in the 6th. I ranted about that yesterday. On 11 pitches, and and then you hook them. How the hell are you going to get to the finish line in that game yesterday?
Yeah.
There was no way to get to the finish line without Sergio the slop baller coming in. And, it was just stupid. It was just stupid. And this one, I don't know. It's not like you're getting, I have no idea why they hooked him. I wanted, Barrios to feel like, I'm the man. I pitched 6. I was in the ball game. I mean, I don't know. Just slap him on the back. 75 pitches, for God's sake. You know what Drysdale once said when they decided not to pitch him in a World Series? He said, "They must be saving me for the spring training opener." Apparently, that's what they were doing with Jose. I don't know. I was, as I wrote last year, I think, when that Yankee series was over, I was more impressed by Rocco as a manager winning 101 games with that flawed collection than I was beforehand. And I watched this team, and I don't know how they tied even in a 60-game season, I don't know how they tied for the 4th best record in Major League. They're not very good. I don't think they're very good. The starting rotation is, too deep, and Maeda certainly was valuable to them. But their bullpen is okay. But Miguel Sano, something has to. I don't know what the solution is, but I mean, you can't. He struck out 47% of the time. That's not doable. That's not. I know strikeouts. Nobody cares about strikeouts. Well, you got to care sometime when he comes up in the 8th inning and he's going to strike out. There's no mystery to it.
Yeah.
Most of these guys who strike out a lot, there's some mystery. With him, you know he's going to strike out. You just know it. And that's not good. That's not good. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I everything you just said was, I'm going to give you a standing ovation because everything you just said is 100%. I can't even argue with anything he just said.
Yeah, I really think you shake it up, don't you? I mean, I think because financially they're going to have to shake it up. And, I think if they sit in a room tonight and they're talking it over, they're kind of sad that they still owe $69 million to Josh Donaldson.
Yeah, I mean, this would have been the stretch where, like, if he didn't play in the regular season but played in the postseason, like, that's when it matters. And for him to be unavailable from the same calf injury, it's the nightmare scenario when you signed him that you were worried about.
Yeah, and you doubled down on Bamba. Yeah, I mean, signing him, he's your big signing. You doubled down. You got swept by the Yankees, and you doubled down on this is the way we can win. We're going to hit more home runs than anybody else. And by God, even though it didn't look like it in that 3-game series against New York, this is how we're going to win the World Series, by pounding the hell out of teams. And what kind of frightens me is when you look at their draft choices this year, their first draft choice, their number, as Jake can tell you, their first draft choice is like a big old slugger, right? Right?
Yeah.
Is he there?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's right.
it's some, I don't know. Here, let me bring this up again. I might have said this yesterday, but I was thinking, Sano hit that little topper to third base yesterday, right? Got thrown out.
Yep.
Yeah.
What percentage of base runners at any level above college would get thrown out? I mean, any of college or above would have gotten thrown out on that ball. 4%? 5%?
Maybe.
10% at most.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of 6 players in Major League Baseball. It's not a DH who could have gotten thrown out on that ball.
Careful, Pat. His isolated power is close to Harmon Killebrew's. So
yes, everybody.
And the impressive thing, Ricey, he was out. That's the incredible thing.
Yeah.
We didn't go back and look and say, oh no, he's safe. He really was out.
Yes, and I assume they challenged the ice play at the plate just because they figured they might as well. But they missed something. But I mean, you could tell he was out from any place else, So
yeah.
How about the first base umpire blowing 2 straight calls? That was so obvious.
Well, he's a promising young ump, Tim. Put
him behind the plate as soon as possible.
Amazing.
Yeah, he isn't very good back there either. Manny, I really liked him the last time I saw him work the plate, but he wasn't that bad today. I mean, that pitch to Eddie, if you look at the TV, it like touched the line. So Eddie, I mean, come on. You know what else bothers me? How they got the last 2 weeks, that week, the whole trip through Chicago, they were bitching at the umpires the whole time, and then Donaldson pulled his stunt. And, I like Rocco, and he's the player manager, but you can't have people being so stupid to get thrown out of games in the situation they were in Chicago, and then and then certainly Eddie. You knew he was going, though. You knew when he struck out he was going, didn't you? Today?
Yeah. He was going to chirp, and then Manny was going to be egotistical about it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but Manny had let him pitch the first time. That's right. What really offends them is if you go back to screw up. If they let you argue about the screw up and then you strike out and then you want to be mad at them, that's what really bothers me. But but it's also whatever happened to the postseason where you basically had to drop your pants and show them your junk to get thrown out of the game, and now it'll throw you out in a heartbeat.
That's coming next week.
You damn near had to punch somebody to get thrown out in my youth. And now they're, I don't know. Plus, why are they using 6 umps for this round? That means every one of these morons is getting a job. Angel's someplace this week, right? Just think, some poor SOBs probably got Angel and What's the other guy? What's
Declan
his
said
pal's
he
name?
was not going to work in this round. I think Angel's sitting out this round, believe it or not.
Oh,
That's
they're
what
probably
Declan told
saving
us.
him
Yeah,
for the
right,
next
Dex?
round.
Yeah, Angel's out this whole wild card round, Brycey, apparently.
Oh, no.
Okay.
It's too bad.
No, that'd be too bad. Well, anyhow.
Pat, we gotta move
You
on
know
and take
what,
a break here.
gentlemen?
So final thoughts from you.
Well, here's my final thoughts. I'm going to be 75 on October 17th. And I've now realized that, I'm not like in that good a shape. I'm healthy, but I can't see my knees, so that's a bad sign. And, there's, 5-6 years maximum. I'm never going to see these SOBs win a playoff game again. I'm going to be dead. I'll never see these SOBs win a playoff again. Baseball's my sport. I was at their first ever game, Met Stadium, 1961. I was in left field when Budcat Grant hit his home run in Game 6 of the World Series. That was my postseason. Hell, the damn ball landed 20 feet away from me. I'm never going to see these butt wipes win another game in the playoffs as long as I live. That's my final thought of it.
Amen. All right, Pat. We'll talk soon.
He's standing right by me. Bye, Pat. See ya. That's going to be on your gravestone.
Oh,
they never
God.
won another playoff game, these stupid SOBs.
Oh my God. Depew, give us your we crossed streams and Pat called right when you joined. So give us your final thoughts and then you'll give a ton more on the Score North Twins show. So go ahead.
I mean, it's just I really can't wrap my head around it. This is the I think it's the most shocking thing I've ever seen, and just in terms of how improbable it is.
Yeah.
In sports. It's the most improbable thing I've ever seen. 18 straight in baseball. It's just like you said, Phil. I mean, we're watching the same movie play out over and over and over, and it's like when these games are tied at 1 in like the 7th inning, and you just know they're gonna lose. And I've just never had that feeling before with any team that I've watched or covered. It's just I don't know what to really say. I'm honestly in shock about it. I really thought okay, the Yankees, they're obviously the better team in all these series, but the Astros are bad. They're bad. I was sure they were going to win, and I was really sure they were at least going to win a game. And it was just, I'm in shock. That's all I got. Well, Jen and I can talk more about it on the Score North Twin show tomorrow.
Right on, man. Well, we're all in this together. This is all group therapy for everybody. Jake, we'll keep it here. We're going to say goodbye to Jake. We've been going for an hour strong, and we're going to get to Matt and Michael and Sam and whoever's on line one. We'll get to you as well. Phil, we'll get to Phil too. But we have to squeeze in a break real quick here. So stick with us. We're hanging out here on Score North, AM 1500, the Score North app, and also youtube.com/ScoreNorthMN. It's a Mackey and Judd Twins vent line special after 18 consecutive playoff losses.
From Minnesota, for Minnesota, it's Mackey and Judd, and they are podcast exclusive. It's the kind of show you listen to while reassembling a carburetor, bench pressing 300 pounds, and burping the alphabet. Good for you. Rediscover your manhood and your love for Minnesota sports. The Mackey and Judd podcast. More Vikings talk, more Twins talk, and just more Minnesota sports talk. It's on demand. The Mackey and Judd podcast. Down anytime via Apple, Spotify, and ScoreNorth.com.
If you have questions about your retirement savings, you want to work with a person that knows what he's doing or she's doing, whoever it is, in this case, Josh. Do what I did and work with a person that you can trust. That is Mr. Money Talk Josh Arnold. This is Patrick Ricey. You need to see my guy Josh now, especially with what's going on in the markets today. You need Josh's straight talk, not any sugar-coated advice. Sit down with Josh for a no-cost, no-obligation, 48-minute consultation to review your investments, including your IRA and 401k. You can learn how you can benefit from Josh Arnold's experienced and focused approach. Call Josh now at 952-925-5608. Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, 952-925-5608.
Investment advisor services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC, a registered advisor, state of Minnesota. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk.
Land of 10,000 lakes has a nice ring to it, but actually Minnesota has more than 11,800 lakes. But who's counting?
Well, there's Ann Lake, Balsam Lake, Cass Lake, Detroit Lake, Eagle Lake, Fox Lake, Gull Lake, Hidden Lake, Adam Lake, John Lake, Craze Lake, Clean Lake.
But if water isn't your thing, Minnesota is also home to amazing hiking, biking, and more. Find your true north. Visit exploreminnesota.com.
Sponsored by Explore Minnesota Tourism, aired by the Minnesota Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hey everyone, register now for the Corona Hard Seltzer Ultimate Home Tailgate Party. Your chance to win a 65-inch TCL TV with a soundbar, a $200 gift card from Grunhofer's Old Fashioned Meats, and a $100 gift card from MGM Wine and Spirits. Just download the Score North app to register. Big screen TV, meat, and booze. What more could you want? You'll be ready for some football indeed. The Corona Hard Seltzer Ultimate Home Tailgate Party. Download the Score North app now for your chance to win. Hey everyone, it's Mackey. Join your favorite Minnesota sports teams for Home Teams versus Hunger now through September 30th. During this one-of-a-kind fundraiser, you can bid on amazing sports items, unique team experiences, autographed merchandise packages, and more. All proceeds will benefit Second Harvest Heartland and Minnesota's 6 Feeding America food banks. To view a complete list of items or to bid, go to scorenorth.com, keyword home teams. Scorenorth.com, keyword home teams. It's time to come together to help feed those in need.
Hey, folks, have you spent any extra time living in your home these last few months? Of course you have. Now ask yourself this. How does the carpet and upholstery look? How does it smell? Solgad here telling you this is why you need to call Zero Res, and you need to do it today. Some people hire a deal of the day carpet cleaner to save a little money, right? Well, think about it for a second. There is no licensing required to be a professional carpet cleaner. Zero Res is safe and effective with their patented powered water that leaves your home cleaner longer, and that's guaranteed. Beat the holiday rush with the Score North special. You get 3 rooms pre-treated, cleaned, and sanitized starting at just $149. And before you turn your furnace on for the winter, do you know how much built-up dirt, dander, and other allergens are hiding in your air duct system? If they're dirty, your indoor air quality is going to suffer. This month, take $50 off when you get your air duct Zero Res clean. Call Zero Res right now, 952-ZEROREZ, or book online anytime at ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the Score North special. Zero Res, spell it backward or forward, it spells the same.
You can make a big difference in the life of a child. For just a few hours a month, you can volunteer as a big brother or big sister, doing the types of things you already love, like watching a movie, playing basketball, taking a hike, or even trying a science experiment. Big Brothers Big Sisters will provide ideas, activities, and guidance along the way. Visit bbbs.org to learn more about becoming a mentor. Right now, hundreds of kids are waiting for someone just like you. Make a big difference in their life and yours. Visit bbbs.org today. Go big. Brought to you by Federated Insurance. It's their business to protect yours.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Most people know that Mr. Clean Magic Eraser removes crayon and scuff marks from walls, but did you know it even cleans tough kitchen and bathroom messes that are sometimes tough to tackle? Just wet, squeeze, and erase gray soap scum on your bathtub. Erase cloudy hard water spots in your shower. Erase burnt-on stovetop messes. So for all your tough kitchen and bathroom messes, try Mr. Clean Magic Eraser.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
You run a business and you need better wireless. 3 words, no more compromise. With the T-Mobile Business Advantage, you get the largest 5G network, award-winning customer support, and insanely great value. No trade-offs. Right now, get up to 90 days of unlimited free on business plans when you switch via bill credits. Stop in to find out more. Plus taxes and fees for some plans. Complete port within 60 days. Customers over 50 gigabytes per month have lower speeds during congestion. Video at 480p, unlimited on our network. See T-Mobile.com for 5G devices coverage and plan details.
It's Mackey here for TCL. I want to tell you about the lineup of TCL TVs, one of the world's best-selling TV brands, because there's a TV for everyone. The 8 series is the world's first TV with mini LED technology, which yields precise control of brilliantly bright and deeply dark areas of the image, delivering depth, dimension, and contrast. The award-winning 6 series is great for gamers and movie buffs. The 5 series packs a powerful picture that will delight any sports fan, and the 4 series provides stunning picture quality at a price the whole family will love. With Roku built in, at the tap of the button, switch between local channels and access the most streaming channels, movies, and TV shows. TCL's lineup of soundbars adds stunning sound and easily turn your TCL setup into an entertainment experience. With available wireless subwoofers and precision playback for any TV, as well as music from your smartphones, tablets, and laptops. TCL TVs give you excellent picture quality, sleek design, and stunning resolution at an affordable cost. Enjoy more of the things you love with TCL. More at TCLUSA.com. All right, welcome back. It's Mackey and Judd, Twins Vent Line here on Score North, AM 1500 in the Twin Cities, the Score North app. and also on youtube.com/scorenorthnn. Click that subscribe button. We also have a Viking-centric YouTube channel, youtube.com/Purple Daily Podcast. We appreciate everyone who has been keeping up with us over the past several months in podcast form. Judd is at Target Field. We have broken down every angle of this Twins loss and all 18 consecutive postseason losses. You're listening to AM 1500, KSTP, St. Paul, Minneapolis. Score North.
Oh, I got one quickly here. I appreciate the attempt that it was late in the game and they were trying to provide a spark. No, but my guess is Byron.
I mean the sunglasses and all the the vague references by Rocco Baldelli about his mysterious injury, probably.
And him being picked off there and then caught stealing and sort of falling asleep on base there. I'm guessing that he probably should have stayed home. I'm not criticizing him one bit. I think he's got a concussion problem.
Let's buzz through some calls here. Michael's been on hold for a long time. Michael, you got about a minute or so. Fire away.
Hey, thanks, guys. My frustration with the Twins actually started 3 games prior to the start of the season. I was frustrated at the fact that we had a 1-game lead. Chicago was crumbling. I wanted to take that division and let them know this is our division to be had. And we lost 2 out of 3 to the Reds. I would love to see us slam the door and just say, this is ours. We're ready for the playoffs. Let's go. And instead, we lost 2 out of 3. The other thing that was frustrating to me is we were at home for 5 games before the playoffs, while the Astros had 2 series before this that were away. So they haven't been home for a week to a week and a half. And we've been at home this whole time. So we had no excuses to come out this flat. The other thing that frustrated me was that I noticed, Dusty Baker's using all the stops. He's bringing the starters to delay the bullpen. We haven't taken out Odorizzi or Dobnik, Rich Hill, anybody. We've been just playing the same guys. And I knew if we didn't have a lead once they took the starter out, we were done. And so when we had the bases loaded early on in the first 2 games, we didn't score any of them. I could tell it was going to be done early. And I know we talked earlier. I'm a big Vikings fan and a Twins fan. The big difference between the two is the Vikings will tease you to the end. The Twins don't even tease you. They just let you know you're not going to win. And so that's the biggest frustration.
Amen, Michael. Well said. We appreciate you coming on. Let's go to Matt. Matt, you got about 60 seconds or so. Thanks for holding. You're on Twins Vent Line with Mackey and Judd.
Hello, gentlemen. It's Matt here. I got contact last week for the first time in my life, so I could finally see. And I've been wearing them now, and I still can't see why the hell we took Barrios out. Does that make any sense? The man was pitching on fire. He was on fire. And we took him out because why? We put Stashak in. He's awful. The Twins are terrible. Everyone always gets so excited because we can beat the Royals. We can beat the White Sox. We can beat the Indians. Well, guess what? We can't win in the playoffs. This lineup has no swag, no confidence. They couldn't hit the ball. It's like this every time. The Vikings aren't going to win a game this year either. Kirk Cousins needed to give 5 yards for me to win a bet last week, and he couldn't even get 5 yards in the last play. I am in absolute shock on how bad we are, but at the same time, I should not be. I'm pretty pissed off right now. I'll be completely honest. I've been pacing around my pool table for about an hour.
Matt, we feel your pain, man. We're happy to be here for you to vent. And
I'm going to go watch Harry Potter and cry. Go Lakers later.
Attaboy. Right,
whatever you got to do.
All right, let's keep buzzing through here. Sam, you're on Twins Vent Line.
Buckle up, guys. October 24th. The Vikings are the only team in town until October 24th.
What's October 24th?
Go for football back.
Gotcha. Okay. And Rashad Bateman announced today he's coming back.
But we have to get through 3 more Vikings games before we even, can start pre-gaming for a Gopher game.
I think you can start pre-gaming right now, man. Just set up that tailgating table, put out that crock pot, play some beer pong.
All right, yeah, sounds good. But, man, we could have used a little Twins run to bridge that gap.
Yeah, you're telling us, man. They didn't even make it to October.
Oh, you're right.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but
that's the middling part. Like they got beat before 6 teams even started their postseason today. Think about that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, there you go.
Sam, thanks for calling in, man. We appreciate it.
Let me remind you guys that the Houston Astros on the road in the 60-game regular season won 9 times. They were 9-23. They were 9-23 away from home and they just swept you in 2 games and made it look like it was pretty simple. Like this is what's so disturbing to me. This is not a good team. This is not a team that I really, when the game started on Tuesday, this is not a team I said, wow, are they engaged? Are they going to turn this thing around? Do they look good? They did not. They gave you, and again today, you guys, first inning, bases loaded again, every chance to dagger them 2 consecutive days, and you look like you have no clue at the plate. Explain that to me.
Yeah. It's rhetorical, man. Cannot explain it. Let's go to Phil here. Great name, by the way. Your parents are very smart. Phil on line 1.
Indeed. Yeah. So I have a couple of thoughts here, but I'll try to keep it fairly quick. The one thing that strikes me about the Rocco conversation that you guys have been having is just, I wonder, you remember at the end of Moneyball? At the end of Moneyball, they're having a discussion about how you can win the regular season, right? You can be the best, but you don't win the World Series. And my question is there a Moneyball for the playoffs? Like, is there just a strategic thing that you need to do to win differently? Because clearly the Twins can win, man. They won 100 games. They're on pace this year, right? Regular season, you're patient, you take your lumps, you rest your guys, all that stuff. It makes perfect sense. But it's like transitioning into all of the suboptimal choices. It's just like Rocco breaks. But clearly there has to be clearly there is data on this that somebody has to be crunching. And if you have big enough sample sizes, you should be able to get there. And this is the thing that when I hear Royce trolls me in ways I cannot not even explain when it comes to these conversations, this idea of sometimes you have to deviate from the book. Well, not really for the regular season. You kind of don't. But maybe the book just needs to change when you're trying to win a tournament, because tournaments are inherently random. So this is the thing that I watch this and I am comfortable with the Twins. I think I have a secure attachment to the Twins because 87, 91, I was young, but old enough to remember them, right? So for me, the Twins are an organization I trust, and I just feel like it'll come back, right? But maybe we need to be thinking about it differently. We need to be thinking about the postseason differently, and that's the next step.
I agree, man. I mean, the Oakland A's are you bring up Moneyball. In the early 2000s, the Oakland A's were the poster child for this. They'd win 100 games in the regular season, and they couldn't do anything in the playoffs because we're waiting for 3-run homers. And this team's kind of the same way. And by the way, this team was not nearly the prolific. And we're going to say goodbye. Thank you, Phil. It's a great call. This team was not nearly the prolific home run hitting team that it was last year. It kind of feels like with this approach, last year was equivalent of the Vikings defense in 2017, where you've got your formula. It's absolutely honed the way that you want it to be, and now you just have to go win on the big stage. And the Vikings soiled themselves against the Eagles in 2017, and the Twins have soiled themselves against the Yankees and against the Astros with the Bomba squad. And I think, be it financial reasons or just roster construction reasons, I think there has to be some pretty major changes this offseason, Judd, and we're going to talk all about those probably starting tomorrow. I don't think we're going to win.
I think there probably needs to be 2 separate things here. Changes made to the personnel and roster itself, but I also think that there needs to be a change in mentality of the approach that the manager takes in the playoffs, and that's a whole different topic. But that's the one common thread in the dugout to me in the last 5 playoff games with Baldelli, the 3 losses to the Yankees last year, and then the 2 losses to the Astros this week. The one common thread has been the very similar moves that he makes, and it's more pitching. And yes, the starting point of this conversation is the offense was terrible. The offense they scored 2 runs in 2 games, and it was pathetic. I get that. But I also think that if we're going to have a conversation and all sit down and say, okay, but ultimately, if playoff success and a World Series is the goal here, what has to change? I also think approach to pitching does too. And that does not mean that what Baldelli does in the course of the regular season pitching wise is wrong. In fact, I don't think it is. Do I think it needs to be adjusted in the playoffs? Absolutely. And he doesn't do it. Again, I'm just going to go back to Barrios today. Jose Barrios did everything you have asked him to do, and you want him to emerge as a pitcher, as a person, right? You want him to say, it's my ball, I'm going in, I'm going to be confident, I'm going to give you exactly what you want, which is potentially a complete game. Might not be, but that's the potential, right? And after 5 and 75 pitches, you hook him because basically by the book, that's what you're told to do. That makes no sense. Like, that is, if nothing else, I think a coach or manager has to be willing at times to empower his best employees. Jose Barrios should be one of your best employees. And Rocco today basically gave him a vote of no confidence. That's not good for anybody. It's not good for the fan base. It's not good for Barrios. It's not good for the Twins. And it's not good for your potential playoff hopes.
Yep. My biggest takeaway here as we wrap this show, and direct people, if you want more discussions like this, the Mackey and Judd podcast, 5 days a week. You can find Purple Daily, similar breakdowns about the Vikings, 7 days a week right now. My biggest takeaway is that this offensive approach worked great in the regular season. I was going to give it a chance in the postseason. Did. They need another dimension. They need another way to score runs. They need base runners. They were 20th in on-base percentage this year. You know, like, I'd rather see them rank 5th in on-base percentage and 20th in home runs. If I had to pick one or two, we need to get guys on base in baseball. Like, that's how you score runs. And so if you're waiting around for the home run and you don't have anybody on base, I don't understand how you're going to expect to score runs. And if the home runs go away like they have the last week and a half or so for the Twins, that's how you wind up scoring one run and having 3 hits. So that's my biggest takeaway, is that not only right now, but for 16 years, offense has been the absolute main culprit in this historic losing streak.
How about this quote, too, from Rocco Baldelli that's just coming across, too, kind of addressing the playoff woe and now having some self-awareness, as we like to talk about. This is a quote from Baldelli, quote, "Our organization, we haven't been successful in the playoffs lately at all. That's a reality for all the fans and for everyone who follows the organization and cares about the Twins. I'm aware of it now. The day I showed up here in the Minnesota Twins organization, I had no idea that this was even a thing. I didn't know it existed. I hear about it from people who care about this team. And you know what? We want to be better. We want to do better for ourselves. We want to do better for the organization. And we want to do better for all the fans too." So, end quote. So I'm aware of it now. And I mean, Phil and I've added a little bit of like, yeah, I don't care about the Yankees. Like, bring it on, whatever, curse is a curse. But I think self-awareness, and this goes beyond just baseball, but in life too, is important, and good for him to have that.
Well, and he has to. And look, right now, everyone in that clubhouse today owns this streak. And we talked about this yesterday, and I wrote a column about it on scorenorth.com, and I will say it again today. They own this streak. They've now contributed 5 consecutive defeats to an 18-game losing streak. So this whole thing of, well, it's not us, we don't care, blah, blah, blah. Clearly you do. And now the question becomes very simple. You've had 2 back-to-back really good regular seasons. How do you fix this? Because that's the next step. Like, there's no other next step here. You can't come back and say, we've won a 3rd consecutive division title and ain't that great. Because I'll tell you right now, and it might not even be fair, Phil, fans get tired of that quickly. So your next step is fix this. And the saddest thing that we talked about on Tuesday, and we'll talk about on Wednesday, and we'll talk about it till it's done, is win a damn game. No one's even asking you yet to win a series, which would be nice. I'm not saying I wouldn't like to see that. Win a baseball game, a 9-inning baseball game, because that's something that for 18 consecutive games dating back to 2004, you haven't done. You own that. That's on you.
Yep. Here's a little tease for tomorrow for you guys on the Mackey and Judd podcast. I've got roughly 5 major things that I would change about the Twins that could easily be changed going into next year.
Okay.
I've already moved into that mode. I'm already making changes. So we'll do that on tomorrow's show. Judd has been at Target Field these last couple days. He's been doing the show here from Target Field. So we're going to say goodbye to you, Judd. Any just quick parting shots from you?
No, I will come with changes too, and
just
there will
chug
be
a bottle of beer.
Yeah, I'm actually going to drive home right now, but before I get home, stop and pick up at least 6, if not 12 beers. And the next time I talk to you, I will have a headache. Okay.
We're recording at 10 tomorrow, so you got a little time to sleep in a little bit more tomorrow. So you'll be all right. I'm looking out for you. I'm looking out for you.
Declan Goff. I will talk to you guys later. Take care.
All right.
See you, Judd.
See you, Judd. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us today. And you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ScoreNorthMN, and the Mackey Judd podcast too on Apple, Spotify, and ScoreNorth.com. So that's a wrap here. Twins Vent Line with Mackey and Judd. Coming up next on the radio side and on the Score North app, Score North Now with us, Mackey and Judd. You can hear a deep dive into the states of Kirk Cousins. See you guys.
If you have questions about your retirement savings, you want to work with a person that knows what he's doing.